Friends, there's a lot of talk regarding the Indian economy. What is going on with the Indian economy? Dr. Manmohan Singh has said India is in the midst of a dangerously protracted economic slowdown. The RBI annual report confirms the same. Indian economy is going from bad to worse. And the most dangerous thing is that this government is not recognizing the serious nature of crisis in Indian economy. The most important indicator is the economic growth rate. If you see GDP growth rate, which was at 9.4% in parts of 16-17, has now come down to as low as 5% recently. Some central ministers say, don't be bothered by the GDP number. All right. Let's see what people on the ground are saying.
Praveen's company does laser markings for automobile parts. They engrave the year of manufacture and serial numbers on gears and other accessories. His business is down 60% since July.
Basically, from few 1.5 months, the order is something around 60% less to us. Whereas, because the manufacturers who hasn't got the job, so by the end of the day, we also not suffering from the job loss.
Pravesh runs a shop selling parts for big machinery used in the Pina complex. With order books of big companies drying up, his business has fallen by around 25% since July.
Like, I am a total retailer and a wholesaler, so because of the industry is getting affected by the economic crisis, we aren't able to supply the materials what the industries need in a particular range.
Nagesh, who runs a small tea shop, says his earnings are down from 2,500 rupees per day to just 1,000.
ಈಗೆಲ್ಲ 2 ತಿಂಗಳು ಆಗೋಯ್ತು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಡೌನ್ ಆಯಿತು ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ
ನಾವು ಬೇರೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಆಗಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೋದು ತಿರುಗಿ ಮನೆಗೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಹೋಗೋದು.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ? ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಇಲ್ಲ?
ಯಾರು ಕೆಲಸ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯಾರು ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ.
ನಾವು ಕೂಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋರು, ಲೇಬರು, ಊರು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಊರಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಏನೋ ದುಡ್ಕೊ ತಿನ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು 4 ಜನ ಸಂಸಾರ ಕಟ್ಕೊ ಬಂದಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಕೂಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮಳೆ ಹಿಡ್ಕೋತು, ಆ ಸಡ ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಏನು ಬಂದರೂ ಕೂಲಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಹೋಯ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ.
So, from your street corner store, to the tea stall owner, to the daily wage worker, to an industrialist, all are suffering from the economic slowdown. If you compare India's GDP growth rate with that of the major developing economies of the world, India was the fastest growing developing economy in 2014. And if you see 2018 and 19, it has dropped to the 5th position. So India, which was number 1 in the world, has now dropped below Vietnam, China, Egypt and Indonesia. So any investor who wants to invest now has many better options. So it is obvious Indian economy is in ICU. So it is obvious that the Indian economy is in a bad shape. Today we have millions and millions of Indian youth who are entering the jobs market. BJP had promised to create 2 crore new jobs every year. What is happening to the jobs market? The sales of Parle-G biscuits, which costs only 5 to 7 rupees, have dropped by 7 to 8%. The sales are down because common people are struggling to buy a basic commodity like biscuits. Because of this, Parle-G is planning to fire 10,000 employees who are directly or indirectly employed by them. Sales of automobiles are down by 30%. This is the worst it has been in 20 years. This means not only car manufacturing, but sectors like rubber, tire, metals, battery, insurance are suffering as well. As a result, auto industry has started firing 5 lakh employees. Mind you, that is 5 lakh families, which means 20 to 25 lakh people are going to be affected. That is very alarming indeed. Indian textile sector is one of the largest employment providers in the country. this sector is also badly affected. As a result, lakhs of people are going to lose jobs in this sector also. Against the promise of crores of new jobs, what is the reality today? The reality is that 1.1 crore people have lost their jobs in 2018 alone, as per CMIE. As a result, unemployment rate, which was at 3.8% in 2012, has now jumped to 6.1%. Instead of creating jobs, today's reality is that people have lost so many jobs that the unemployment rate is the highest in 45 years, as confirmed by Labour Ministry itself. So, economy is down. People are either losing jobs or unable to find new jobs. What is happening to wages or incomes of working Indians? Rural and urban wages, which were steadily going up earlier, have started collapsing after 2014. So today, the rural wage growth is less than 1% and urban wage growth is less than 2%, which are even below the inflation rate, which is around 3 to 4%. That is, your income is going up by 1 or 2%, whereas prices you are paying are going up by 3 to 4%. So as a result, a common Indian has less and less money to spend. As a result, people are buying less, and this in turn is causing the economic slowdown. So as per the National Sample Survey conducted by Government of India, average consumption expenditure, that is, people buying goods and services, has declined by 4.4% in rural areas and 4.8% in urban areas in 2018 as compared to 2015-16. Please note, this is the sharpest decline in expenditure in the last 20-25 years. This means not only the poor, but even the middle class are suffering. That is the reason they are reducing their purchases wherever they can. Now, if you look at the condition of the poor, it is actually very alarming. Global Hunger Index measures and tracks hunger. It is a broad indicator of condition of the poor people. India was steadily improving its position in the Global Hunger Index till 2014. From 65th position in 2012, it improved to 55th position in 2014. But after 2014, India has continuously slipped down to the 103rd position. Our neighbors like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal are ranked better than India in the hunger index. Some experts are of the opinion that actually poverty has increased in India in the last 2 to 3 years. So the poor are worse off. Middle class is not doing well, the poor are suffering. But how are the super rich of India doing? So the richest 1% of India, that is the super rich, were holding 49% of India's total wealth in 2014. By the year 2017, the same super rich were holding 73% of India's wealth, and it is increasing rapidly year after year. In 2018, wealth of super rich billionaires of India increased by 2,200 crores every day as per the report of Oxfam. So from this it is very clear that the super rich are getting super richer every day under BJP government, while the middle class is struggling and the poor are getting poorer every day. Now, India is the second most unequal society in the world after Russia. And any nation cannot grow with such inequality. What is the response of the current government to the slowdown of the Indian economy? Government has done a major reduction in corporate tax from 30 to 22%. This has increased the share value of companies, caused a jump in the stock market, but is it going to revive the Indian economy? Ms. Jayati Ghosh is an eminent economist.
The government doesn't seem to have a clue. These are all economics 101. These are things that undergraduates learn. It is a shock to realize that the government is not picking up on these basic ideas. I would say that the Indian economy is in a situation where it's beyond worry. We are basically in the middle of a crisis. It's fairly evident that there's a massive deceleration. And even if you don't call it a recession, because technically speaking GDP has to decline for 2 quarters before you get a recession, what we've got is such a big slowdown that it is affecting demand, it is affecting employment, it's affecting living standards, and it's creating an overall crisis which in any other country would be taken as a national emergency. People don't want to buy cars, people don't want to buy washing machines, they want to buy electronic items, less and less, because you're saving, you're insecure, or you don't have money. The government doesn't seem to have a clue. It's doing supply side measures to deal with what is really a demand problem. There's just people don't have money to spend, they don't have income, they don't have employment. Banks cannot give credit if investors are not willing to borrow. And why would you borrow to increase capacity if there's nobody buying the stuff you have already produced? In the last 1 year, what we've been seeing is that overall lack of demand, which has been really punishing the informal sector now for 3 years, has actually been also impacting the formal sector. If they did recognize the problem, there are lots of things they could do. They could immediately expand, let's say, the rural employment guarantee dramatically, 2 or 3 times, increase the spending. It's only 0.2% of GDP. Make it 0.6% for God's sake, which it was in 2010. So triple the amount you're spending on that. That puts lots of money in people's hands. They can go out there and buy biscuits and toothpaste and underwear and, you name it.
So to revive the economy, consumption has to increase. And for that to happen, we need to put more money directly or indirectly in the hands of common Indians. The government should have provided benefits to the middle and lower income people of the country who are struggling to increase their income. The government should have proposed a reduction in income tax, a reduction in GST on basic commodities, so that people have more money to spend. Once the middle and lower classes start spending more money, consumption will increase, it will revive the economy and create more jobs. But the government is providing benefits only to the super rich. And what are they doing? They are putting more and more money in foreign banks and assets. Over the last 5 years, $45 billion of Indian money have gone out of the country. By comparison, during the 5 years of UPA 2, that is before 2014, outflow of Indian money was only $5.45 billion over the entire 5 years. The corporate tax cut will cost the Indian government a whopping 1.45 lakh crore rupees. This means tax revenue to the Indian government will go down by 1.45 lakh crores. This also means a gift from Government of India to the super rich friends of 1.45 lakh crore rupees. How much is the corporate tax cut going to cost the common Indians? So petrol and diesel could cost you more as the government may increase excise duty. Your LPG cylinder has already started getting costlier. So instead of listening to the experts and putting more money in the hands of middle class and the poor, this government is doing the opposite by helping their super rich friends. If this government is seriously interested in reviving the Indian economy and creating jobs, we demand that it reduce income tax on common people and reduce GST on essential commodities and ensure more money is spent in rural India. This will put more money in the hands of common people. They in turn will spend on essential needs that will generate demand and revive the economy and lead to job creation.